My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and you're listening to Categories Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.categories.com. And we're speaking to the band Count Pariah. How are you guys doing? Could you introduce yourselves, please?
Yeah, doing pretty good, man. This is Adam. I'm the drummer for Count Pariah.
I'm James, or Shibby. I'm the singer.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Anyways, it's great to talk to you guys. And so, why don't we get right into the history of the band? How long have you guys been together as a band?
As a band, the lineup as it sits, going on about 2 years now.
Okay, and how many albums have you had released to date?
To date, we've only got one on the market, and that released Friday of last week.
Oh, okay, and you guys are, of course, signed to a great little label, Pavement Entertainment, and I was curious how you guys hooked up with them, because again, one thing I love about that label is, it's run by Tim King, who's, of course, the bass player from Soil, many people know, and you would think a guy like that would sign nothing but metal acts, which you guys are, but they have everything. I mean, it's such a diverse group of artists. They have even like 90s alternative rock icons, Candlebox. So that's the kind of label you're on, and what I really love about the label is they really promote the bands that they're working with.
Yeah, that's what drew us to them, is their ability to get our music to as many people as possible. We've been in contact with Tim King, Mark Nawara. Those guys have been really great. They've really helped us out a lot, and they've got a whole crew of people that are there to help us with any questions that we've had. We came across them, our bass player, during the pandemic.
Okay.
When we went and got us some good recordings made, and we went out and started shopping around, seeing what we could figure out, because we knew we weren't going to be able to go out and hit any stages anytime soon. So we got some good recordings. Our bass player started shopping us around, and Pavement heard something that they liked, and we got in contact with them, and the rest is just kind of history. And they've been helping us out ever since.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is working with a guy like Tim King. I think is interesting because he's an actual musician himself, so he's kind of lived the life, and it's quite different from being on a label where it's just a bunch of suits, and the guys that have signed you know nothing about what it takes to make it in the music world. So that's kind of an interesting kind of backstory thing to a label as well.
Oh yeah, that's not necessarily something we were looking for, but that's certainly a big plus.
Yeah.
Someone who's already been through the ringer, who kind of knows what to look for, what not to look for, and he's been a good resource also. He's there for any questions we've had. Even if it's not Pavement related, he's been there for us. So
because a lot of times, a lot of times when you're working with even a manager, somebody who's not necessarily a musician, they're like a business type, in a suit. A lot of times they'll tell a band, I don't hear a hit. Go back and write something more catchy. And a band's perspective is, well, we're not a pop band. This is what we do. And a lot of times bands will have their sound kind of altered because of people working behind the scenes. So it's kind of cool that, and I got to tell you right off the bat, one of the first things that I really love about the band is the band's name. And I got to ask you how you guys came up with such a cool name, because I know that's one of the hardest things in putting together a band is coming up with the name.
Yeah, man, I got to tell you, our guitarist, Jason, hands down, hardest worker in the room, man. The guy, we're talking 3 a.m., man, gets up, he's playing guitar, he's researching. If he's not playing guitar, he's watching people play guitar. He's been all in, man, from the get-go. I mean, I'm fairly certain that guy, from the minute his fingers touched strings, he knew it. He knew it was his calling. So it was ultimately Jason that came up with the name.
Wow, cool name. Yeah.
One of the things that I think he looked at early on was you just kind of do a quick Google search. You look on Facebook, you look on Instagram, and there's nothing, and we mean nothing, from any facet of any industry named Count Pariah.
Yeah, I mean it's a combination of the two names, Count and Pariah. I mean, and then Pariah actually really is. It sounds like a metal band,
It's really cool because by definition, a Count has some type of esteem. There's some type of royalty. But then you've got the pariah aspect of it, which is kind of you're an outsider. You're kind of shunned upon, and we just loved it. We were like the king, basically being the head honcho of the Outlaws. Like, we loved it.
And have you, cause, like you were saying, you guys kind of been working on the album over the last couple years, especially during the last year with COVID and everything being locked down. So were these songs that you guys have been working on like from the inception of the band, or I guess what I'm asking is, were you guys, I'm assuming we're all in the same room, or what was that like as far as the recording? Was everybody kind of doing it from home and you're kind of phoning it in, as far as emailing tracks back and forth to each other?
No, just kind of like some, maybe the very, very beginning, the foundation, it might have been a riff, it might have just been an idea, it might have been a lick. You send it over, send an MP3 over, it was just a, little cell phone recording. Me and Jason have been playing on and off for about 8 years. We've been in a few different bands together, and so, the guy's got a ton of ideas. And really, it some of those songs, man, just absolutely fell in our lap. It was something that as far as the instruments were concerned, was pretty much already written. We had been messing around with it on and off for a couple of years. And Shibby comes along, man. We send him some music. Hey, what do you think about this idea? And 2 days later, we've got this just beautiful canvas of vocals on it. And it was just like, wow, a couple of them fell into our lap. And a couple songs were the actual grind, where we got together, and it might have taken months to get it where we wanted it.
Wow, that's interesting. Now, and as far as your vocal ideas and writing down the lyrics, a lot of times, like when you're writing, I was curious, do you typically write the lyrics before you come up with the music, or a lot of your lyrical ideas are they kind of sparked off of a riff?
When I write the lyrics that I've written for this band, pretty much every time it comes after the music. The music comes first, and it's just because our music changes so much, and the lyrics change so much. Honestly, at this point, looking back on all these songs, it would probably be hard to pick which one came first. But most of the time, it's music first, then some lyrics, and then maybe the music changes, then the lyrics change, and then it's a fun process, but it's a grind, and it's something you got to dig for.
Yeah, of course it depends on the band you're talking about, but I'm a guy that I love to listen to lyrics, some of my favorite bands and, songwriters are people that are great storytellers with their, songs. And as far as inspiration for, ideas for songs, once you come up with the music, I was curious, do you kind of have an idea beforehand what the kind of story behind the lyrics are going to be, or does that kind of come as the music's created?
I wish there was a specific process for it. It just depends on the song. A lot of the times, if they gave me a full song, then I go off and on my own I listen to it over and over and over again until I catch how it makes me feel. The most important thing to me when it comes to writing something is writing honestly and writing directly from me. Yeah. So when I'm writing lyrics down, I don't want to just rhyme every third word. I'm not trying to write a rap or anything like that. As long as it means something to me. Yeah. I feel like that makes it more real. Yeah.
I mean, like even you listen to something even like the Eagles. A lot of those songs are written out. Those guys will tell you, I wrote that song. It's like a page out of my life, something inspired that song that happened in my life. And so I was kind of curious, how often when you're trying to create and you're hearing the guitar riffing and stuff, does it spark a memory? Does it spark an inspiration? Or a lot of times is the music just kind of, an idea might come to you or something that you experience, but it's like, this is a happy song, this is a sad song. I guess what I'm asking is, a lot of times you'll hear music and it's like upbeat and you want to dance and stuff to it, for example. Whereas if it's a metal track and it's real, the drums are real heavy, you don't so much want to dance, but you still get off on, you might go to a concert and the audience starts, slam dancing or whatever. And, it's more based off of feeling than what the song's even about.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Again, that kind of comes down to just writing honestly.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys that get out there in those mosh pits and stuff like that, you're right. Sometimes the lyrics don't mean anything to them. A lot of the time it's how they feel about the music. But if the lyrics, if the melody is not matching the tone of the song, then they're not going to move. They're going to be confused. Their bodies aren't going to feel the things that they feel. So really a lot of it comes down to, because these guys are incredible musicians, man. Yeah. I mean, we've got some of the best bassists, the best guitarists, the best drummer on the market, and I have to find a way to match that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Melodies that keep that going.
Yeah, and you know, some of it's funny because some of your favorite classic rock tunes, for example, or some of the most simplistic songs, but you know, song lyrics and stuff. But it's just that you get off on the feeling, you know, or you get off on, you know, like a lot of these classic rock songs we grew up on. You know, you listen to them and the guy's telling the story, like telling a page out of this book, and you can, if you listen close enough, you can oftentimes, oh, okay, so this is what he wrote the song about, or you might have heard him, you know, talk about it in an interview, and you know, people can relate to it that way. So that's always cool. Now, talking about influences, who are some of the bands or, you know, people that influenced you guys to do what you're doing now?
Man, that's a good question. We get that quite a bit. What's really cool about Count Pariah as a unit, man, is in our own time. Yeah. I don't think any of us came from the same musical background.
Interesting. Oh, wow.
And that boils down not only to how we respectively learned our craft, in addition to what we listened to.
Yeah.
Just on a daily basis. I mean, for me, you know, I didn't, you know, I grew up. My mom listened to the Motown. I mean, she was big on the Temptations. You know, just that real big soulful stuff. Yeah. And I think really early on that kind of instilled an affinity for rhythm for me. As far as, you know, I couldn't put a finger to tell you what made me want to start playing drums. I do know I wanted to play piano. That was my first instrument of choice.
Oh, wow.
For whatever reason, it never happened. I ended up playing drums, and here I am 24 years later still playing. I will say the album that really changed it was Anima. My older brother had bought it for me. I think I was 14, and I heard Danny Carey for the first time, and I was like, wow, that's amazing.
Wow.
And then later on, I got refined. You know, my dad turned me on to Led Zeppelin, man. And I mean, I was in high school. That was way past my time.
Oh, wow.
And Bonham opened up a door for me. His playing just absolutely woke up something primal in me, and that was when I decided, like, that's what I want to do. That's how I want to play. I don't want to, you know, that's no offense to the Danny Careys of the world.
Yeah.
You know, or the Neil Pearts of the world. Those guys, they're phenomenal. They're fantastic at what they do, but just getting in that pocket and hitting really, really, really hard and just having an unmistakable groove, that was what really turned me on. And that was really when my playing just kind of amplified. And I used to play a 7-piece, and I broke down to a 4-piece, and I really got in on the technicals. Like, what is it? You know, are we in front of the beat? Are we behind the beat? Are we on the beat? You know, and then that translates over to today's day and age, man. I couldn't stand rap growing up. And now I can't get away from it. It's the cadence of the lyrics. It's the beats they have that are incredibly produced in the background. Like, and in my brain, I'm sitting here thinking, how can I reproduce that on an acoustic kit to a rock song? You know, and not sound like Limp Bizkit. You know, like, and so and I mean, you know, you've got Jason. I know Jason's a huge fan of Slash and Stone Temple Pilots and stuff like that, man. I mean, he's listening to that you know, just in your face guitars and wonderful, you know, just wordplay with the lyrics and everything like that. So we all have just very, very different backgrounds.
That's interesting. Wow.
Just, and then you the thing is, man, you can make a great stew, but you got too many recipes or you've got too many spices, it kind of spoils it. So it was really trying to find what's that hot zone where Jason can do what Jason does, Adam does what Adam does, Shibby does what Shibby does, Dustin does what Dustin does. How do we put that together and make it something special? And so far, it's been really working.
Well, you know, just to touch on a lot of what you just said there. I mean, talking about John Bonham, I mean, a lot of people, especially drummers, were influenced by that guy. I mean, he's one of the top drummers, and it's interesting to look back on him because just last year marked the 40th anniversary of a guy's death. I mean, if you can believe he's now been dead longer than he was alive, which is kind of amazing, and he's still influencing people to the day. And what made him such an amazing drummer was he was so over the top. He was much more than just a drummer. He was a showman. If you very much kind of along the lines of, say, like a Carmine Appice, who I know he was influenced by and he was friends with, very much like Ginger Baker, Keith Moon. I mean, typically the drummers aren't, you know, really getting noticed a whole lot, but those guys, you couldn't help but notice them because in addition to being great drummers, they were just such great showmen. You know?
Absolutely. They were the kind of guys, you know, you look at and you just know, like, that person is larger than life. That right there is an icon. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They found their calling in life.
And just talking about Bonham's, influence on pop culture and just music in general, for the last several years, Brian Tishy, who is the drummer from the Dead Daisies and Whitesnake and Billy Idol, he puts on this annual event called Bono Bash, and he gets all these guys to come up, and they put together these groups of like famous musicians. They play different like Bonham tracks. The drummers take turns and stuff, and they got an annual thing called Bono Bash. I mean, he's got his own event. Other drummers are kind of paying tribute to him all these years later. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And Neil Peart you mentioned, and I think it's important to shine a light a little on him. I mean, we all know Neil Peart is the late great drummer of Rush, but what's interesting about Neil that a lot of people may not even realize is he's not an original member of Rush. He was in the band, of course, longer than the original drummer, but the interesting thing is when he joined Rush, the sound kind of really drastically changed because it was not Geddy and Alex that wrote all those lyrics in those famous Rush songs. It was the drummer Neil Peart, so just think about that, the huge influence he had on that one band because he wrote the lyrics. Yeah. And how about you, Adam? Who are some of the bands that influenced you?
I mean, yeah, that's it. Like I said, as far as what I was doing, music wise, it was Anima really that got me. I mean, I'd already been playing drums for a few years at that point, but then when I heard Danny Carey on that album and I heard 46 and 2 for the first time, and I was like, wow, you can do that on a drum kit? Like, that's allowed?
Yeah.
And, again, for me, I'm not a player that I don't want to play just a sheer amount of notes. For me, it's more quality over quantity, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
You've got these guys, like the Neil Pearts and the Danny Careys, and I mean, they can lay down just an abusive amount of notes in a track and make it sound good. You've got your Jay Weinbergs from Slipknot, and his predecessor, Joey Jordison, like, those guys are great, and what they do is fantastic. I mean, you won't find better chops at a steakhouse, and that was a joke. That's really funny, but as far as what Bonham did, Bonham was classy. He played the right amount of notes right when you needed them. And that's really that's what made me fall in love with it, man, and really change my style around.
Yeah, and another great drummer that I mentioned was Carmine Appice, and I had the opportunity a few years ago to interview Carmine, and he was telling me, which if you check out everything he's done from Vanilla Fudge to Blue Murder and Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, he's a guy, but he's a very versatile player. I mean, he can play. He was in Rod Stewart and everything like that. He can play all kinds of different types of music, which, as far as getting gigs, that's a real helpful thing. But Carmine was telling me kind of his secret to having a long, successful career. He says, as a drummer, typically the drummer's sitting in the back of the stage. He says, my approach to drumming is always kind of to bring the drums up in front as far as making, being back the stage or making people take notice of what you do. And if you look anything Carmine's done, he's a very physical player. And he was telling me he's the one that started here in California where I am. The annual, they used to have this annual Tower Records drum off. He's the one that started that. So I mean, even way before talking about what a great drummer the guy is. I mean, he's had a huge impact, just on drumming and the music industry. Throughout his career.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and let me ask you guys, because now, was a band formed just like the last couple of years, right before the pandemic?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so how many of his songs were written? I mean, did you have a lot of his songs written? I guess in the next obvious question, have you guys had a chance to play out live yet, or is that what's kind of coming next, a live debut of the band?
Yeah, so the first part of that question, a lot. Oh, I don't want to say a lot. A few of the songs were already written. A lot of the songs were being worked on at the time.
Okay.
We squeezed in a couple shows pre-pandemic, just locally around here in Knoxville, and then we just played a show a couple weeks ago with mask mandates opening up and people getting vaccinated and stuff like that. So we just played a show a couple weeks ago, right before the EP dropped. We are currently working on booking some more shows in either Knoxville or the surrounding area. We'll see what we come up with.
And COVID related, what's it like there in Knoxville where you guys are from? Like, is everybody still wearing masks, and is everything pretty much open, or is it starting to open up? What's it like there where you guys are?
Well, you're from California, so I can tell you that we're in the South.
Okay.
So a lot of non-believers.
Yeah.
We're our mandates, the mask mandates. Obviously the CDC came out and they said, hey, you don't have to wear masks anymore if you're fully vaccinated. Honestly, man, here in Knoxville, you could go into a Kroger and see half the people not wearing masks from the get-go anyways. It's probably why it spread so rampant.
Yeah.
But things are starting to open back up. Some venues are starting to rebook. They're starting to put some people that were already booked back on their books. So it's a slow going process, but things are looking up.
Yeah, and the reason I ask is because, like you're saying, where depending on where you're from, it's very drastically different. Here in California, like even today, I turn on the news and they're saying, these companies like Target and Sam's Club and whatever, Trader Joe's. You're now allowed to, go in these places without wearing a mask. Well, funny stories. I happened to just, before I got home to do the interview that we're doing now, I stopped by a local Target and because it's in California, they said, oh, well, yeah, that's true about Target, but here in California, you're still required to wear a mask till further notice. And I guess you got to do what you got to do. But the whole thing, I think, the whole point here, like over the last year, that I think not just myself, but a lot of people were kind of shocked to learn is, you kind of realize that all the simple things that we maybe previously to this last year took for granted, something as simple as going to your local movie theater, and all of a sudden you have the government telling you, locking everything down. No, you can't go see a movie. And I'll tell you, when I finally got to go to a movie theater here, like about a month ago, for the first time in a year, see Godzilla versus King Kong, man, it was like, it was something special. And it just makes you think, wow, I never thought, this would be such a big event, just going to a movie theater.
Yeah.
And I imagine as a band, you guys kind of have had to suffer the same type of thing as far as not knowing if you were going to get out, if you were going to get out to do a live show and when that might be. What's that been like for you guys as a band?
Well, like you said, we got a couple of shows in before the pandemic really hit, and we were working on recording some music so that we could start shopping around. Because we knew that as much as we wanted to play live, most people are going to hear us through online services.
Yeah.
So what we did is we just took the opportunity, not to say that the pandemic was an opportunity, but we tried to make the best of a bad situation by just using that time to really, hone in on our art and start focusing in on songs that we hadn't finished, focusing on songs that we wanted to finish, kind of did a little bit of reshaping on what Count Pariah was, and now you're right, now that things are starting to open back up, we want to start getting out there in front of people. We've got Pavement backing us up so that hopefully we can get in front of everybody, I can't remember who it was that we heard say it before, but if there are 7 billion people on the planet and you get your song to every one of them and 1% of them like you, you're gonna be a happy person,
Yeah, I mean, and that just goes to add, talking about the power of the internet. I mean, for example, as we sit here, I'm sitting here looking on your guys' Facebook page, and I urge people to visit that. They can find out more about the band, and I'm sure you have an official website. But the whole point of that is, too, like you're saying, by the time people start going out to live shows again, I mean, it's been almost a year since a lot of us have had the chance to go to a concert. So a lot of people are, got that itch to go see bands live again, and it's going to be so much fun. And even as a band, to get out there, to get, to meet with your fans and stuff, that's got to be a great feeling to finally be able to do that.
Oh yeah, we're very excited to get out there, honestly. And people are going to be, I mean, it's already flooded, because trying to find a show right now is tough, because everybody's trying to get a show, everybody, I mean, all the booking agents for everybody in Knoxville has got backlogs of months, they're telling us that we can try to book something in November, or, I mean, it's been crazy. And
the thing I want to really hone in on and make people realize that I gotta give you guys kudos, because different bands and different, even record labels had different approaches to this. I mean, for example, when the pandemic first started, I mean, I remember Bon Jovi was supposed to come out with an album, but they held off releasing their album for like almost 6 months. And then you had other bands that we're not going to release anything until we can go back out on the road. And I kind of dig the approach you guys, like, well, we can't do live shows, but we're going to continue to work on our music. We're going to get something out there to the people. I dig that approach because, you know, even with this last year being what it has, I dig the fact that bands like you guys are still out there. You're kind of delivering the goods to your fans, as opposed to just saying, oh, we don't know when we're going to have anything new. And there's different reasons for having the different approaches. But I just got to say, I tip my hat to you guys, and thanks for that.
Yeah, well, honestly, as far as the music goes, man, I don't think any of us were ever, when we first started this, any of us had any idea where it was going to go.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So a lot of the music that you're going to hear from us is so honest. I mean, it's just four guys making music that they love. So there's a lot of just honesty and realism in what we've written. So I don't think there was ever like an idea that we were going to release it and 8 billion people were going to hear it, you know?
No,
it was more about, we had something that we were super proud of. We wanted people to hear it. And it was that, and that's how we got to Pavement. You know, it was something we were proud of. We showed it to some people. They liked it. And then we started seeing it from a different light, you know? Maybe it's maybe it's something maybe it's a dream that can come true, you know?
Oh, yeah. And at the same time, you know, it's just great to hear such a great new band like this kind of out there on the scene. And I think, like I said, it's great to have some. I've also talked to other musicians in the last year where they tell me, one guy was telling me, you know, we've already released one new album this year, and we've already got enough material recorded in the can that we got enough stuff for the next 3 albums. So again, I just love that approach that, you know, the show kind of must go on. And so I want to thank you guys for taking the time to talk to me today. And the interview here we did be going up in early June. I'll let you know when it goes up, and at that point you're more than welcome to post on any of your sites if you wish to share it with anybody. And let's keep in touch, and we can do it again. But just keep in touch, you guys, and take care.
That's perfect. Yeah, as a way to thank you, man, if you want to send us a message with your information to our Facebook page, we're working on getting some merch set up right now, and when we get some of that, we'll send you a little care package as a thank you.
Oh, hey, I appreciate that. And one last thing before I let you go, that I know a lot of people are wanting to know, as far as the new EP that just came out, are there actual physical copies available, or is that just available like digitally right now?
There will be physical copies shortly.
Oh, great.
Yes, we are working on it. We do have a CD in the making.
So I'll tell you what, when that is ready to go, just you guys can let me know, and we'll be happy to post that information along on our site so people can check it out. But thanks for taking time to do this. I really appreciate it.
All right, thanks, man. We appreciate it.
Okay, bye-bye.